up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie and I'm so glad you've clicked on this video. So in just a few weeks, I'll be coming up on 3 years on my fitness journey, which is absolutely insane to think about. Time goes so fast. So I thought, what better time to sit down and finally film this video that I've been meaning to film for probably since I started this channel, and I just never put too much thought or effort into it, and just honestly never got around to it. But with such a big milestone coming up, I figured no time better than the present. So today's video, I'm gonna share some of my top tips for weight loss and some of my secrets, not really secrets, but some of my tactics and things I've done that have helped me be successful. I tried so many times to lose weight, and a lot of them I succeeded, and then I just bounced right back to where I was. And this time it's actually stuck. And I just wanted to share some of my story, some of my, tips, tricks, what I do, because I know this is a time of year when a lot of people are starting on a wellness journey, weight loss journey, whatever you want to call it. And I know when I first started, I loved watching videos where people were just talking about what they do, what helps them be successful, what keeps them on track. So just trying to be a resource for other people. So for anybody that might be new here, just want to give a little bit of background on myself. So like I said, my name is Allie. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am 24 years old. I'll be 25 in July. And I started my weight loss journey in March of 2020, which crazy to think that it's already been 3 years since this whole world has changed. But I started my journey at 226 was the highest that I ever actually saw on the scale, but I would not be surprised if it was higher than that at some point, and I just didn't weigh myself. But the highest known weight that I started at on day one was 226. Currently I'm hovering around 130 to 135, somewhere in that 5-pound range. I'm not where I want to be at. I haven't finished losing weight. I am fairly short. I'm 5'2.5" to 5'3", with a smaller frame. So 130 still is a little bit on the upper end of where I want to be. And I have talked to my doctors about this. I have consulted my primary doctor, everybody, and everybody's on board with, dropping down ideal probably between 118 to 125, somewhere in there. And honestly, for this last 8 months to almost a year, no, probably closer to 8 months, I've been kind of stalling. I've been inadvertently maintaining. Like I said, I'm not by any means done losing weight. I just haven't really been sticking to it, mainly on weekends and traveling. My boyfriend Michael and I, we love to travel. That's our hobby. That's our number one passion, is traveling. And when I travel, all nutrition goes out the window. If I'm spending money to be somewhere and visiting somewhere, especially if it's for the first time, I want to fully enjoy myself and fully immerse myself in the food and everything. So I don't really track. So between all of our trips last year and the holidays and just life getting in the way on the weekends, I have been inadvertently maintaining. I always stick to my macros and I track 100%, go to the gym every single day during the week, Monday through Friday, we're all good. And then weekends just kind of and it's not every weekend. If it was every weekend, I probably would be gaining instead of maintaining, but there's the occasional weekend and trip in there where, it equals out what the deficit that I've been in all week and kind of undoes all my hard work, which kind of sucks, but that's kind of the season of life that I'm in right now. But with it almost being March, we're not traveling as much now. We don't really have that many plans coming up within the next immediate few months. So really trying to hone in on staying on track 7 days a week for as much as I can, because I know once summer gets here, it's going to be harder. There's going to be more temptations, more treats. But yeah, so all of that to say, I've lost about 95-ish pounds, and have been able to keep that off for almost a year now. Like I said, goal is probably still another 8 to 10 pounds away, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get there sooner rather than later. I do want to 100% preface this by saying I am not a registered dietitian, I am not a nutritionist, I am not licensed in anything, I'm not a coach, I have no certifications. I am just a normal person who lost weight, had success on a weight loss journey, and has figured out what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and just here to share that with you guys, because I know a lot of people are in the same boat, at least in their, health and fitness, and we all just want to be better versions of ourselves. So I'm just here to share what has worked for me. Take this with a grain of salt, take this as you will. I'm just here to share what I'm doing and what's working. So my absolute number one tip for anybody who is hoping to lose weight or looking to start a fitness journey, wellness journey, is to pre-plan and pre-track. I'm a huge believer in the saying, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. I have found that to be absolutely true in pretty much every facet of my life, especially weight loss. I give so much credit this time around on this time losing weight. I did not put a single thought into pre-planning or anything when I tried to lose weight in the past, and obviously I couldn't stick to it because I had nothing to stick to. I had no plan for myself. So the way I pre-plan is I'll sit down on usually like a Thursday or Friday and just think about the week ahead. I'll think about, do I have any events coming up next week that I won't have to cook for? Like, will I be eating out anything? Like dinner with family, things like that. Am I going anywhere? Do I have any trips or anything coming up? And then I will plan out my meals for each day. I don't do like, oh, Monday I'm gonna eat this, Tuesday I'm gonna eat this. I just list out 4 or 5 dinner entrees that I can eat whenever I feel like it throughout the week. That way I have all the ingredients for everything, but I'm still flexible enough that, if I decide, hey, Monday I'm gonna eat tacos, but then Monday comes around and tacos just aren't sounding that good, then I have 3 or 4 other options that I can choose from. That has been an absolute game changer, I would say, losing weight. I always had a problem with adherence, and I know a lot of people do too. And by sitting down and actually planning out what you're gonna eat, I mean, you have a perfect plan to adhere to. You have to put no thought, no effort into it during the week because you already know what you're gonna be eating. You already have all the ingredients that you're gonna use. I'll insert a screenshot here of, I just do it in my notes app, honestly. I'll just open a blank notes app, write down 4 or 5 meals, write down what both me and my boyfriend are gonna meal prep for the week for lunches. We both do track macros. Obviously his are higher than mine since he's a guy and 6'5", so he gets a lot more. He can do a lot more calorie heavy meals than I can. But we still eat the same exact meals for dinner, maybe just different portion sizes and stuff. So all that to say, by pre-planning, you're setting yourself up for success. You know exactly what you're gonna eat. You have everything ready for yourself, and it just makes life so much easier. For pre-tracking, this is another huge key to success for me, and I think for a lot of people. So what I mean by pre-tracking, this is more of a day-to-day thing, whereas pre-planning is, an overview for the week ahead. Pre-tracking is more of like a day-to-day thing. So what I mean by pre-tracking is if you are, let's say, eating meal prep for the week and you've made 3, 4, or 5 batches of a lunch, track that first, put that in because you already know for sure that you're gonna be eating that. So insert that into whatever tracking app you use. I use my Macros Plus. I know a lot of people use like Weight Watchers or MyFitnessPal, Lose It, things like that. Insert the foods that you know for sure that you are gonna consume that day. Put those into the app. Even if it's dinner, you don't have to track in order. Let's say I know that, on a Friday night, let's say I know that we're gonna bring in Chick-fil-A and I know what I'm gonna order. Track that ahead of time and then fill in the rest of your day as you go. I know I did not do this at first when I started on this journey, and I would just kind of like wing it and log as I ate, and then it would get to like 7 o'clock at night and I would need like 45 grams of protein and I'd be like 20 grams over on carbs, and it was just like constantly playing macro Tetris at the end of the day. It's like what it felt like. Trying to find things that would fit, trying to make myself reach the goals without going over, and it just became like super stressful and honestly took away from the enjoyment of like trying to get healthy. So by pre-tracking and pre-inserting everything that you know you're gonna eat, you see exactly where you might be falling short, or you might be getting really close to your limit on something. And that way you can pick snacks and filler foods throughout the day that will help you reach those goals a little bit better. For my number 2 tip, I actually don't hear or see many people talking about this. So maybe it's just a me thing that I find super helpful, but my number 2 tip is to keep a log of recipes. So we've all been there before. We're thinking about what we want to eat for dinner. We're trying to make our meal plan for the next week. And suddenly we can't remember a single meal that we've ever eaten in our lives. And it's just blank. There's nothing going on up there. And it's super annoying to just try to like rack your brain and figure out, okay, what are some recipes that I've made lately that I liked, or like what haven't I eaten in a while? And it's just, it sucks and it takes forever, and it's like just an energy suck and a time suck. And my way to combat that is to keep a recipe log. So personally, I keep an Excel doc and I just write down recipes that I eat. So when I first started it, I wrote down a lot of my go-to meals, staple meals, And now what I do is every time I try a new recipe or I see one somewhere that I'm like, oh, I want to try that one day, I'll write it down, I'll add it to that list. If it's a website or, like in a YouTube video, I'll include the link to that webpage or that video. That way it's easy access and I don't have to go back and like Google search for it. I can just click on the link, see the recipe, voila, there you are. So this has been like a game changer when it comes to meal planning for the week. Like I just talked about, when I sit down on Thursday or Friday to work out my schedule for the next week about what I'm going to be eating, I'll just open up that Excel doc, I'll read through, see what sounds good. Maybe I'll come across something that I haven't made in a while, or maybe I'll remind myself of something that I've been meaning to try but I haven't, and I'll add that to my list, and it is just so helpful. So if I can offer one piece of advice, I would say start an Excel document, start a Google Doc, even a handwritten list in like a notebook or like your notes app on the phone. Keep a list of meals you like, recipes you like, and I promise you meal planning will be so much less intimidating and so much less time consuming. Tip number 3. This might sound kind of intuitive, but it was not for me at first, believe it or not. And that is to eat foods you love. Don't force yourself to eat foods just in the name of health. I've talked about this before in some like older videos, but when I first started out, I tried to force myself to eat things like cauliflower rice or zucchini noodles, things that are obviously lower calorie substitutes to their counterparts, such as like white rice or regular pasta, just because they were lower calorie. I was like, you know what? I can make this fit into my day a lot easier. But I hated them. I hate that. I still, to this day, hate them. There are very, very few cauliflower rices that I'll eat. Maybe like 2 or 3 kinds, like frozen kinds that I buy in the store. But other than that, no chance. And I still won't touch zucchini noodles. I've had way too many awful experiences with those. But basically just eat foods you like. Find ways to make foods that you genuinely love fit in your day. Instead of trying to force yourself to eat foods that you aren't a big fan of, like why? Like don't force yourself to eat foods that you don't like. First of all, it's going to make your adherence to your program a lot easier when you're actually eating foods that you enjoy versus having to like gum down just like nasty like cauliflower. Like nobody wants to do that. So find ways to make food you like fit, whether that be smaller portion sizes, whether that be, mixing things. Like for example, one of my favorite things to do is make burrito bowls for dinner. So instead of cutting out, rice completely or subbing cauliflower rice, I'll do half a serving of rice and fill the rest with like arugula or spinach or some kind of green. That way I'm still getting the taste that I like, and I do love green. I love arugula, I love spinach. It's 2 things that I like, just mixing them together to make the calorie content a little bit better than just a straight up full serving of rice. Instead of subbing that I absolutely hate, sorry, English is getting hard, I'm actually eating something I love for maybe just a little bit more calories, probably comparable calories. So I think it makes sticking to your plan a lot easier when you're actually eating foods you enjoy. Don't eat something just because like influencers or, other people are saying, oh, it's really good for you, it's really healthy. Eat foods that you love. Don't follow trends. Don't eat things just in the name of health. So my number 4 tip is controversial for no reason really, and that is to make sure you're tracking accurately and weighing your food. So there is a huge difference in weighing your food on a food scale in grams versus using measuring cups, measuring spoons, eyeballing. I will include a graphic right here actually that explains this way better than I ever could, without rambling on forever. Using measuring cups and measuring spoons is not ideal. It's okay in a pinch, but you're not being as accurate and as truthful with your calories as you would be if you were weighing things. So like in this picture, I believe it's peanut butter in the picture. That's the idea or the example that comes to mind for me all the time. Peanut butter is typically, for most people, they use tablespoons to measure it. People can pack tablespoons differently. Do you really pack it in there? Is it a heaping tablespoon? Is it, a shaved off the top flattened tablespoon? Do you maybe have some air pockets in there so things like not everything's getting in it? Whereas when you're weighing in grams, that's a finite number. For a fact how many calories you're eating, how much of something you're eating. using measuring cups and measuring spoons when you first start out on a journey is usually still going to get you some results because you're just now starting. Your body's adjusting to, eating less calories, so you're still probably going to lose weight. But once you get down to, closer to your goal weight and things start to slow down, you start to plateau, tightening up your tracking is going to be imperative. And the only way that you can do that is to measure your food, weigh your food, make sure you're being truthful with your tracking. I know a lot of people use like barcode scanners on things like, Weight Watchers or MyFitnessPal, but there's a lot of times that people aren't actually looking at what comes up when they scan something. So they'll, scan a barcode and just enter, 4 cookies, or, if they are weighing in grams, they'll just enter like 100 grams something. Be cautious when scanning barcodes. Always make sure that you are double checking that against the actual label on the food, because it's just a user inputted database. Nobody's like monitoring that. Even the ones that have a little like check mark next to it, I've found to be wrong sometimes, a lot of time actually. So making sure that you're actually using the right nutrition info for your food is super, super important as well, especially when it comes to foods that are marketed as like low carb or like net carb. Sometimes people don't actually put the correct like number of carbs and stuff in the app to track with, and then when you scan it and you use it, you're actually not tracking the right nutrition info either. And that also can lead you to believe you're eating less than you actually are. And then, the scale stops moving and you're like, what's going on? I'm still eating in a deficit, but really you're not, because you haven't been tracking correctly. Been there, done that. It sucks because it's such a simple thing to fix. I personally am a fan of just making my own entries. I use the app My Macros Plus. I'm going to post a tutorial on that probably next week. That's another video I've been meaning to post forever, but haven't made yet. And I just like to hit add custom food and just write in the nutrition info myself. That way I can be 100% certain that what I'm adding in is correct. But if I do ever scan a barcode, I am double and triple checking that the info in that app is matching exactly to what I see on the label. Otherwise, you're not tracking correctly. Tip number 5, my voice is starting to get tired already. Tip number 5 is to don't overwhelm yourself with exercise and activity at first if you don't want to. Really focus on nutrition. So what makes you lose weight is being in a calorie deficit. The easiest way to achieve a calorie deficit is through your nutrition. Exercise burns not as many calories as people think. Trackers like Apple Watch, I have one, Fitbits, they are notorious for way overestimating calorie burn during exercises, during the day. Honestly, the only thing that an Apple Watch or an activity tracker is really like reliably useful for is things like heart rate and steps, pretty much. As far as like calorie burn or, things like that, you can't trust them. They're not super accurate. And also the number of calories that you burn exercising is negligible on any day compared to the amount of food that you're eating. So the easiest way to ensure that you're in an actual deficit is to just manage and control what you're eating. I did not step foot into a gym. I did not exercise. I didn't even walk for, 2 years of my journey. I didn't start exercising until last year, March 2022. So 2 full years into my journey, I didn't do a thing, and I still lost the large majority of my weight during that. And that's because I was tracking. I was diligent with my tracking. I didn't, overwhelm myself with activity. I was working a job then. I have a different job now, but the job I was at back then during the first 2 years of my journey was very long hours, very exhausting. So by the time I was done for the day and would log off, I was not going to the gym. There was no way. And I was not going to wake up early and go. But where I'm at, in life now with my current job, with my current situation, I do have that energy and that motivation and that ability to, get up. I usually get up around 6 a.m., go to the gym, stay for like an hour, hour and a half, come home, shower, work. So if you don't have the ability to get in that activity, don't stress about it. Don't stress about it at all. You're still going to be able to lose weight. You're still going to be able to lose pretty much all the weight you want to lose. You might not look exactly how you want because that toned look comes from muscle, which means lifting heavy weights. You might not have that toned look you want, but weight, yeah, sure, you're going to lose weight even if you don't exercise. Really focus on nutrition. And before people come for me, I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise. I'm not saying you shouldn't get activity in. You absolutely should get activity in. It's super important. Cardio is super important for heart health. I try to walk pretty much every single day now. But I'm saying if that is a hindering factor for you, if you are like putting off starting a weight loss journey because you think you have to exercise copious amounts of time every day, you don't. You can achieve weight loss through a calorie deficit, which is achieved through nutrition. Tip number 6, take advantage of low-calorie foods, snacks, drinks, wherever you can. So vegetables, certain vegetables like cucumbers, carrots, broccoli, things like that, you can have a pretty big volume of that for pretty low calories. Certain snacks, like some of my favorite high-volume, low-calorie snacks are Jell-O, like Jell-O cups, rice cakes, the Drizzlicious rice bite things. I'll insert a picture of it here. I've shared it in some favorites videos. I'm obsessed with those things. I always have them here. As far as drinks go, things like diet soda, flavored water, sparkling water. Currently drinking a Sonic Ocean Water, which is Sprite Zero with 20 calorie blue coconut syrup. So a 20 calorie massive soda. Take advantage of those foods because they will help keep you full for longer. I am a big fan of, I usually don't eat breakfast just because I'm never hungry in the morning. So I'm a big fan of having like a protein shake in the morning, like a protein chai or something, then eating lunch around 12 or 1, and then filling up in between lunch and dinner with, you know, veggies and dip or Jell-O cups or popcorn. Popcorn's another one where you can have huge amounts if you do like the Air Popped or buy the Skinny Pop, or there's like a ton of brands of them out there right now. My favorite at the moment is Lesser Evil Himalayan Gold. Ooh, it's so good. If you've ever had it, you know. If you haven't, you should try it. But that's kind of something that I found keeps me adhering to my actual deficit numbers easier, is to eat 2 big meals, like a lunch and dinner, and just fill the rest of the day with really high volume, low calorie snacks. It keeps me so full, so satisfied, and really helps me, you know, stay in my deficit, stay on track. So I know people have varying opinions on diet soda. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to. But also drinks, like people are shocked, I feel like, before they start, like being conscious of what they're consuming, how many calories they're wasting on just drinks, like sugary drinks, high calorie drinks. Regular soda is something I know, like everybody pretty much knows that they're super high in calorie, but things like juices, things like lemonades, you know, things that people typically would think of as healthy, which, I mean, fruit is healthy obviously, but a lot of things have a lot more calories than I think people assume that they have. So really taking advantage of those low calorie drinks, snacks, and whatnot will help keep you satisfied longer and help make it easier to stick to your actual goal numbers. So down to the last 2 tips. So tip number 7 is to give yourself grace, allow yourself some leniency. So nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody is going to stick to their nutrition plan 100% of the time. I mean, unless you're in like competition prep for like bodybuilding competition, bikini competition, whatever, then probably you will be. But just normal average people are probably going to have some things that come up every now and then, and you're not going to be able to stick to your numbers, and that's okay. What used to send me off the rails was I would have one meal like that. You know, back then I was working in an office, so somebody would bring something in for lunch, like a team lunch, and I would eat it, and I'd say, you know what? I already messed up lunch, so why even bother with dinner? Why even bother with dessert? Just go off the rails for the rest of the day. And I would eat whatever I wanted for the rest of the day, where in reality, it was just one meal, and it probably didn't even put me over by that much, and if I would have just stuck with my plan and stayed on track for dinner and dessert, then I probably would have been just fine. It all would have netted out at the end of the week anyway, but instead I had that mindset, that all or nothing mindset that is so harmful in weight loss. It's not an all or nothing game. It's not. If you mess up one meal, just get back on track for the next one. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't overthink it. Another thing that I used to do, and I know a lot of people do, is if I had one higher calorie meal, I would try to like make up for it in like the coming meal or coming days and like starve myself pretty much, or eat like super, super low calorie for the meals after that to try to like make up for it. You don't need to do that. Just get back on track with what you know. Get back on track with your numbers. A good example of this too would be like birthdays, right? My birthday's in the summer. It's July 1st. So I always go to like a big birthday dinner with my family. What I used to do would be like starve myself for the entire day. Like dinner would be at like 6 or 7 o'clock. I would not eat a single bite of food all day leading up to it so I could have calories, you know, saved up for it, which that's a little preview of my last tip number 8. But anyway, I would like starve myself for one meal, and it's like, why? I was miserable the entire day. I was so hungry and I had no energy because I hadn't eaten anything. So, you know, with the knowledge that I have now and with the experience that I have now, I don't do that. If I know that I'm going to be having, you know, a big meal or an event or something, I still eat the day of. I just make better choices. You know, maybe fill up on protein, have a protein shake, have, you know, a salad, like have food. Don't deny yourself food. Don't deny your hunger. Just meet it with things that, you know, you can make fit easier. So my very last tip for this video is one that I think a lot of people probably already use, but it is to bank calories and macros, and if you're on Weight Watchers, points for weekends, events, things where you know you're going to be off track. So what I mean by that, it's not contrary to my last point, but it's kind of elaborating more on that one. So let's say you know on Friday you're going out for date night or something, and you're going to a restaurant that you're not sure the calories, not sure the macros, and you're probably not going to get something like super healthy. So instead of, you know, eating normal all week and getting to that day and starving yourself all day for the dinner, cut 100, 150 calories off of every day leading up to that. I think some people call it calorie cycling, maybe. I just call it banking calories for events and weekends. But basically, instead of starving yourself the day of, take 100 calories from Monday, take 100 calories from Tuesday. Let's say you're really hungry Wednesday. Don't take any calories from there. Take 100 from Thursday. And there you already have 300 extra calories on top of what you already typically have allotted for dinner that day. That way, you're not hungry. Typically, 100 calories is not going to make or break your hunger. So taking 100 out of the days leading up to it, you're probably not going to notice a difference. And if you do the first day, then maybe only take 50 the next day. But either way, any little bit that you're saving throughout the week to bank for the weekend, you're keeping yourself in a deficit pretty much. I like to think of calories as like a budget, like a bank account pretty much for like a week, let's say. And I have a certain number of calories, macros to eat within the week. If I eat a little bit less one day and a little bit more one day and a little bit less here, up and down, it nets itself out, it evens out. Versus if you're eating, you know, the same thing throughout the whole week, it's pretty much the same thing. So taking a little less one day and a little less one day and eating your allotted, you know, calories plus those that you didn't eat on the other days on one certain meal, it's not, maybe you might be a little like bloated the next morning, so the scale might be up a little bit with like water weight, but it's not going to put any fat, you're not going to gain any fat from one meal. So yeah, that is another huge thing that has just really changed the game for me. Knowing that, you know, I can save calories and I can use them, and I can use them for something that I really enjoy. And when I eat that thing that I really enjoy, I don't have to worry about, you know, going thousands and thousands of calories or hundreds and hundreds of calories over my numbers, because I've built in that extra cushion there. So that is all of the tips and tricks that I am going to share for today. I hope these were helpful for at least one person out there. It was kind of cool to like sit back and like when I was planning out this video, like thinking about, okay, what are some things that, you know, have helped me along the way? I feel like I don't really do that much like self-reflection about my weight loss journey that often. So it was kind of nice to like sit and think about it, like, okay, what's working, what's not. So hopefully this will also give me some, you know, motivation to stay on track in the coming, you know, weeks and months and whatnot. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I am not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a coach, I'm not certified. I am just a regular human that lost weight and has had success and wants to just let you know what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what's helping, what's not, so that hopefully you can also benefit from it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope I helped at least one person out there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you don't subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you here. Click that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.